Thursday night, word gets out Roman Reigns is backing out of WrestleMania. In comes Smackdown Friday. Either WWE was living under a rock and had no idea, or they just said, we're not going to edit our show on Friday. Fuck it. 1 hour through Smackdown comes, what do I see? I see Roman Reigns and Goldberg still advertised. Well, your big dog just backed out of his WrestleMania match last night. That not only makes them look lazy, it makes them look very stupid. I think that there was actually a much bigger reason besides his comprised immune system as to why Roman Reigns backed out of his WrestleMania match, because let me tell you something, right after Roman Reigns did it, a laundry list of wrestler names down the board backed out of WrestleMania. Vince McMahon going out WrestleMania is stubborn. We all know that. But I'm going to tell you why I think this is and why I think that it was never thought through fully for WrestleMania to keep going. Thursday night, word gets out. Roman Reigns is backing out of WrestleMania. Now, my first reaction to that, actually, and I watched this on The Elitist, I'm going to give you a shout out. Okay, there's your free candy. Is he mentioned, and this was something that I was actually generally thinking about beforehand. He mentioned that, okay, Roman Reigns had leukemia. He knew his immune system was compromised, but why did he wait till a week before WrestleMania to say I'm backing out? Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is he was trying to see how this would go, because if you want to look at it from a realistic standpoint, 2 weeks ago, this was bad, but it wasn't this bad. Last week, it was bad, but it wasn't this bad. And now, this current time period, it is probably, maybe the worst is even yet to come. Maybe the worst is even yet to come. So, it was either him realizing, wow, this is getting really, really, really bad. I can't do this. Or it was him saying, you know what, Vince, you're going on with this show. I don't like it. A lot of other guys don't like it. We think it's stubborn. We're not going to tell you that because we will lose our job. But I think I'm going to back out. And he didn't just back out of any regular match. Roman Reigns backed out of Vince McMahon's dream match, which was this idea of Roman Reigns hoisting the title up in front of absolutely nobody against Goldberg. That was Vince McMahon's idea, and now it foiled. Not only did it do that, it started an avalanche of all of these other wrestlers backing out of the event, some of them being told they can't compete because, if you don't know, from what we're being told, every wrestler that was heading into the Performance Center before their tapings, I believe that their body temperature was tested, every single one of them, which is good because that's the right thing to do. But what people don't realize is that even though 88 to 90% of the wrestlers, or not wrestlers, 88 to 90% of coronavirus patients show symptoms of a fever at some point, these wrestlers could have been testing normal and either beaten the fever already, just contracted it, or don't have a fever as a symptom. The only way to know is if somebody has the virus is to get tested. That is the only way. You can say it's a cold, you can assume it's a flu. That is the only way. So unless WWE is testing their talent, and we know that the minimum or the lack of tests and so many people needing to be tested, how that's an issue right now, unless WWE is testing their talent, every single time they enter the building, they don't know. One of my friends, just got a conversation with him, mentioned, well, WWE doesn't have a positive coronavirus test to our knowledge, so why does it matter? Maybe that wasn't his exact words. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But it was something along those lines. The idea here is that you're trying to prevent that. Because if somebody does test positive in WWE, even though they're all not sharing a locker room now, that creates a much bigger problem. What problem does that create? Every wrestler, if there is a wrestler that tests positive, every wrestler that he's come in contact with in the last 2 weeks, which may not be that many because they're not doing live shows and they're not doing live audience shows, may not be that many, but they will have to get tested. Now, what if they test positive? Now every person they've come in contact with, and that could mean family, that could mean, I know they're not doing any meet and greets now, they're not meeting with fans, that could mean a much bigger problem than they want. I'm sure Vince McMahon is coming in contact with a lot of these wrestlers. He's older, his immune system's weaker. It is just a problem that you want to prevent. I'm not saying that will happen, but we saw how potentially one guy in the NBA had the coronavirus, and he infected unintentionally, not his fault. Well, I mean, he kind of looked like a jackass on the podium saying about the coronavirus. He affected 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a minimum of at least a dozen players that he probably never even came in contact with because he gave it to this person gave it to that person. It is a trend that follows, okay? Now, I don't have a problem with WWE doing their weekly shows. I have a problem with them going on WrestleMania. You delay it. Well, you can't delay it when you don't know what it is. There are multiple sporting events right now that are being delayed because of this situation, and they have no idea when they will resume. The NBA still has 20 games left of the season. They might not even play them. They might go straight to the playoffs. NHL, same thing. MLB hasn't started yet. And, I don't think it'll last this long. But what if this really does? And I really don't think it will. But if it does, then there's a much bigger problem because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse by then. But God forbid, what if it breaches into spring training, or not spring training? What if it breaches into NFL preseason? I doubt it. That's August. That's a long time. A lot can happen in that time period. But then it'll delay that. It is the idea that all of the other talent don't want the show to go on, okay? Now, it's one thing for them to not be comfortable, but there's also rumors of these wrestlers just saying that they're sick because they don't want to compete. Can't really blame them for that. And I certainly don't blame Roman Reigns whatsoever. I was never a big fan of Roman Reigns when he first started. But I've never been a bigger Roman Reigns fan now than I've ever been because of the decisions that he made. Okay? Daniel Bryan. Now, I don't understand this. I would believe that they didn't edit this show either because they had this great match between Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn planned for WrestleMania. They're not going on with that now, I don't think, because Daniel Bryan was another one. Quarantine, not going to do it. Dana Brooke. Some of these wrestlers, I believe, are actually being sent home because they exhibited signs of a fever. And I guess they consider a fever anything that's 100 degrees or over. I don't know. I've always been one of those people how you don't know if you have a fever. Like, even me, like, I feel a certain way when my body temperature is like 100 or above. Now, 99, I kind of understand. But anything over 100 should be the ballpark of what you're looking for, right? I'm not a doctor, but I would assume that would be something generally along those lines of what they'd be looking for. So now, you're going to lose out, from what I know, on a Daniel Bryan-Sami Zayn match that will be a classic. Roman Reigns winning the championship, which we all know was inevitable. Now we just know Goldberg is going to squash probably Braun Strowman. And again, there's another thing that they're doing that I really can't stand. They are saying that we're going to get an update on this next Friday on SmackDown. So I'm going to assume it doesn't go on night 1. Let's assume night 2 is when Roman Reigns and Goldberg, the potential match was supposed to be. It is less than 48 hours before the main event of your show. And to the fans' knowledge, they have no idea who he's facing. This is all blowing up in Vince McMahon's face. And I can't say I have sympathy. The wrestlers don't want to be there. Again, that's not me speaking with them. That's just general knowledge, okay? Because there's so many insiders and shit does get around, okay? The wrestlers don't want to be there. I don't think the staff wants to be there. Any type of cameramen, even them in general, don't want to be there. Yes, they have to do the regular shows and stuff. But that is the issue with it. The issue is that, okay? It is not, oh, we don't have anybody tested positive in our area, let's keep going. It is, let's prevent that. This stay-at-home order, all of these things that are going on around the globe, is to prevent that because you don't want it to happen. The idea is not to tell a fat person, we're going to get you healthy, but we're going to wait till you have a heart attack first. No. We want to prevent that event because if that event occurs, you may not get a second chance. That is the idea. It is not the weekly television, and I shitted on it at first. Of the reruns, I did shit on that at first, okay? But I understand it. I understand why they're doing separate nights. I understand why it's pre-recorded, and I understand why they're having multiple locations, because they want to minimize the amount of people that are in a location at once. That's not the problem. The problem is that you can avoid all of this if you delay the show. Delay the fucking show. But they won't do that. Because Vince McMahon is, when it's all said and done, is the one that makes this decision. There may be other influences, family, Triple H. He is the one that makes the decision for the show to go on. And he's choosing for the show to go on because he's stubborn and he wants to be God and he wants to be above all else. That is why the show is still going on. And that's the problem. That's pretty much all I have, at least on that standpoint of it. I do appreciate you guys watching. Again, this is going to be very wrestling heavy this week. WrestleMania coming up. There's so many news and rumors. We're getting stuff that's dropped every single day on this standpoint. So, again, there's not too much sports to talk about right now. We're going to do some maybe life-related things to also mix in there. We're going to try to do gaming soon. I would hopefully like to get that started by the beginning of the summer. But, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate you watching and the support as always. Thank you.